Welcome to Healthy Births, Happy Babies, where we share tips, tools, and stories grounded in natural childbirth and parenting principles, so that instead of feeling overwhelmed and confused during this exciting time in your life, you feel safe, supported, and empowered in your childbirth and parenting journey. And now, here's your host, Dr. Jay Warren.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Healthy Births, Happy Babies. I'm Dr. Jay Warren. I'm the prenatal and pediatric chiropractor here at the CAP Wellness Center. And before we get into today's episode, I just wanted to give a shout out to all of our listeners here. We surpassed 200,000 downloads last week of our show. We've been out for about a year and a half, knocking on the door of 2 years, over 75 episodes. And I just want to thank all of you listeners for your support and for also giving me great suggestions on how we can make the show better and bring on new guests, as well as making sure we're covering all the topics that you want to hear as a new parent. I also want to just thank all of our listenership in Australia. We have strong listenership there with lots of questions coming in. We've only had a couple of guests from Australia. Dr. Sarah Buckley was on, and Dr. Scott Vatcher. We're going to have Jonathan Evans on soon. He's an osteopath that I'm learning a lot from working with babies. But iTunes is iTunes, and our show goes all over the place, and it just shows how many caring moms there are all over the world. And I just wanted to especially thank all of those people that were emailing this week that just happened to be from Australia. So switching over to today's guest, I have Kristy Rodriguez today to talk with us about her book, Pure Nurture, a holistic guide to a healthy baby. It's all about self-care, and through her own pregnancy and postpartum journey, she's come up with this concept that she works with her individual clients with on self-care, really focusing on it as baby care as well, because as she's going to go through today, the health of the mom is really shaping on the health of the baby. And so her mission really is to make sure that moms are taking care of themselves in pregnancy, establishing that habit so that in postpartum, that habit stays as well. But before we switch over to that, let me take a moment to hear a word from our sponsor, the CAP Wellness Center.
Hi, I'm Amanda, the Director of Yoga at CAP Wellness Center in Encinitas, California. Prenatal yoga is beneficial to women on so many levels and so many ways. A few of my favorites are that it helps reduce stress, to calm our mind and slow our breath down. It gives us a chance to connect with our babies, and it helps to build some strength and stamina that we're going to need for the labor and birth of our children. We have amazing teachers here at the center, styles ranging from prenatal vinyasa to gentle, deep stretching classes, and we even have a meditation class to give you a chance to really calm your mind and connect with your baby on a deeper level. I'm wishing you all healthy births and happy babies. Namaste.
All right, let me introduce Kristy to you, and then we'll switch over to our conversation. Kristy Rodriguez is a pre- and postnatal wellness expert and advocate, and the owner and founder of Pure Nurture, a business devoted to educating and inspiring women to nurture and nourish themselves through pregnancy, birth, and the postpartum period. Her passion for prenatal health and wellness began while she was pregnant with her first daughter. Then, after giving birth to her second daughter, she decided to dedicate her work to supporting women who are pregnant and trying to become pregnant, as well as mothers of newborns. As a holistic health coach and registered yoga teacher with many years of experience in education and health, she brings extensive knowledge, personal experience, and deep compassion to her students. Kristy works with individual clients as well as teaching classes and workshops, both in person and online. In a supportive, non-judgmental way, Kristy helps her clients and students live healthier, happier, more energetic lives. So now let me switch over to my conversation with Kristy. Kristy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's so good to be here.
Yeah, well, I'm really glad to be able to have this conversation. I mean, we've been getting ready for a little while to have you on, and in the meantime, your publicist has sent over your book, and I've been reading through it, and it's a fantastic book, Pure Nature. So I'm really glad for you to be able to share this message with our listeners, because I think it's one. I think there's a really important message, but then also really timely in that our listeners are really wanting to know more about, a holistic way of self-care. And so thank you for, in advance for being here to share that. But before we get into all of that, give our listeners a little background on yourself and your journey, how you got to author this book.
Sure. So I first became interested in health and wellness for a not very healthy reason. When I was in college, I developed an eating disorder. It went from kind of restricted eating to anorexia to compulsive overeating to bulimia, and then finally got help. But I was just focused on fat grams and calorie counting and, just for all kind of health in the wrong reasons. But it was part of the story that's led me to where I am today. The other big turning point in my life that's kind of brought me to this writing this book and doing the work that I do around health and wellness is that just seeing my dad go through cancer. He went through 2 bouts of cancer, esophageal and colon cancer, 2 separate times. And it was just seeing him going through all of the treatment, his hospital stays. My eyes were open to how much is lacking when it comes to healthcare and our medical system. And so it was after that it inspired me to go back to school and get my certification as a holistic health coach. Until that time, I was teaching English as a second language. So I've been teaching, but then I wanted to continue to teach, but instead of teaching English, I wanted to teach health, just health in general from a holistic point of view. So after I got my certification, I opened my own practice. I was working with private clients, working with women of, variety of ages and for a variety of different health concerns. But it wasn't until I got pregnant with my first daughter that I became really interested in maternal health, pregnancy health, baby health. And I thought, it's just because this is what's happening to me in my current, this is like my current situation. And so I'm interested in prenatal health because I'm pregnant, and that'll fade and I'll move on and continue doing the work I'm doing with women. But it didn't fade. And it wasn't until I was pregnant for the second time with my youngest daughter that it just blossomed. And I just knew that was my calling. I knew that that's what I wanted to do. So I went back to school and got another health coaching certification with a specialization in prenatal health and wellness. I've also been a yoga teacher since 2006. So I went back and got another certification as a prenatal yoga teacher. And so today that's all I do is just focus on supporting women, whether they're trying to get pregnant, currently pregnant, or moms of new babies, just helping them to feel as healthy as they can be and empower them during that special time.
Yeah. And isn't it amazing how parenthood changes us, right?
It does.
Everybody says that, but then sometimes it incorporates our career as well as it has in mind, as well as yourself. And, that brings us to your book. And I think one of the major themes or the take homes that I got from is the whole concept of self-care. It's not a new concept, obviously, but one that you give a very comprehensive and very kind of, not simple. Well, it's easy, or it's simple, but not easy, right? To look at all these different aspects. So, your very first chapter is, why is self-care so important? And beyond the, kind of obvious, like, oh yeah, I should take care of myself. Like, talk about the concepts and the principles that you cover with your clients.
Sure. So I think of self-care as baby care. I always like to think about, the mother, it's kind of like the analogy I like to use as a garden. And if you plant a seed in your garden, the quality and the health of the soil plays such a huge role in the growing of your plant. And it's the same thing with a baby. The health of the mother really plays a big part in the health of the baby. And I look at it from a holistic point of view, meaning that it's not just about what we eat. A lot of times with pregnancy, I think women are so concerned about about what they're eating or what they're not eating, what they can eat, what they can't eat. But I also look at it from the standpoint of, what are you thinking? How are you feeling? What are you watching on TV? Who are you surrounding yourself with? And just, life is it's a series of ups and downs. We're never going to protect ourselves, and nothing's going to be perfect all the time. And, but then it's how, when things aren't going well, how do you bring yourself back into a state of balance or ease? And while you're pregnant, rather than watching thrillers and scary movies and the news, maybe incorporating more funny movies and, things that are uplifting, knowing that is going to have a direct impact on your well-being. Just talking in terms of your cortisol levels or your hormones, trying to come into a state of rest and relaxation. We live in a really stressful, our lifestyles, we're just constantly going. And so the more we can come back to a state of rest and ease, the better we'll feel. And then in turn, the better your baby is going to feel, because they're feeling and experiencing all the things that we're feeling and experiencing. So with the book, with Pure Nurture, with the Pure Nurture the book, Pure Nurture the work that I do in teaching and educating women, it's all about what can you do from a standpoint of self-care. How can you be inspired and empower yourself to do what you know is going to help you to feel better? And I know that looks different for different people. For one woman, it might be taking a warm bath. And for somebody else, it might be going and grabbing a tea with a friend and just chatting for an hour. It's different. It looks different for different people. And so really tuning into what helps you to feel your best. If you're feeling anxious and agitated, what can bring you back to a state of calm and ease? Or if you're feeling lethargic or depressed, what is it that you can do that can bring you a little bit more energy and lift up your spirits a little bit? So kind of talking about all of those things, but the biggest component is for the women to tune in to their intuition and do what feels best for them.
Right. And one thing I love about your book is each of the chapters at the end has journaling space to go through exercises. And one thing I've seen or I've heard a lot from my patients is the things in pregnancy, and especially postpartum, but we'll talk about pregnancy now, that used to be soothing, used to be relaxing, used to be stress relievers. It changes in pregnancy. Either you can't do those things because I used to unwind at the end of the day with a glass of wine, but can't do that in pregnancy, or different exercises that are not able to do. So really taking time during pregnancy to explore what are the things that are going to de-stress me and relax me now it shocks women sometimes. It's like, well, I don't know what to do to relax anymore because I'm different. And the space that you give in each of your chapters as far as exercises, I think is really important.
Yeah, I think it's such an important point, because we do change. And even not only from being, coming from not being pregnant to then all of a sudden being pregnant, all the things you can't do, but also through pregnancy and moving through the different trimesters, and you just feel different. Even from a day-to-day basis, you feel different. And so I think it's honoring how you feel in each moment and then experimenting with different things. And then also not looking to the outside. What is your friend doing? What did your friend do when she was pregnant? What is, this person on TV doing? And then trying to do the same thing because this other person is doing it. Really kind of tuning in and turning the flashlight inward of what's, really what is going on for you. For me, I practiced hot power vinyasa yoga for years. And then I would see some of my friends get pregnant and they would be going to class and they would continue going to the hot power vinyasa classes into their third trimester. And I thought, when I get pregnant, that's what I'm going to do, because I love this practice and it feels so good on my body. And if they can do it, I can do it. And then I got pregnant and I couldn't do anything for the first 3 months because I was really nauseous. But then when I went back in to begin my practice again, I tried it for about a month, almost 2 months, and I was miserable. It did not work for me. But my mind was telling me, you can do this. You love this. All your friends did it. And then finally, after another short period of time, I realized, no, I'm leaving this class more anxious and I'm worried about my baby because of the heat, and I was feeling more anxious leaving than I was before I even went in. So that's when I went and found prenatal yoga and more gentle practices. And then that soothed me and loved me. I did not like gentle yoga before. Now, even as a mom, that's my favorite thing now is gentle yoga. So just going with the flow and really honoring what your body needs and not letting the ego or the mind kind of tell you what you should be doing based on what you did before, what your friends are doing.
Right. And that comparison can be just that criticism, self-criticism and self-judgment is just not a great place to be at all during pregnancy. No. Not in any phase of life, but especially pregnancy.
No, definitely. And I feel like we're always inundated with a lot of information, and so there's never more of that time where there's so much new information coming at you as a pregnant woman or as a new mom, and all the different opinions that people have, cloth diapering and breastfeeding and formula feeding and co-sleeping and attachment parenting, baby wearing, and all of those things, I think it's really important to become knowledgeable of all of the options, but then do what feels best for you. I breastfeed as long as you can, and then listen to your baby and listen to your body when it's time to wean. Everyone's going to tell you when, even my own mom, when you should stop breastfeeding. And, it can be really challenging to hear all of the opinions, hear all of the judgments, and then still do what you feel is best for you and what you feel is best for your baby.
Right. And definitely in parenthood, that is a nonstop process, especially
nonstop. Newborn
care. And then as they're toddlers and preschool and school, and pregnancy really is the first classroom around, all right, what's the fine line of being informed and overeducated and overthinking these things, and really setting up boundaries of all right, I need to find a space for what's best for me, my partner, and my baby, rather than what everybody's bombarding me with. That is so overwhelming.
Yeah, that's the point of the whole point, or the aspect of my book, where I come from it from a loving and non-judgmental point of view, from an affirmative point of view, and kind of presenting all of these ideas, but then creating the journal page so you can really think through what does feel best for me, what do I want to try, but not saying these are things you must do and you must put these on your to-do list in order to be a good mom. It's absolutely not that. It's a really it comes from a really non-judgmental, loving place.
Right, and your book's just full of suggestions, as you're saying, not in the fourth month you have to do this or those kind of things. It's more of these are possible ways of nurturing yourself. These are possible ways of being more mindful and really kind of in a way of this is a weird metaphor, but a buffet table of just all right, there's tons of things available. What do I feel is best for me and for my baby right now?
Right.
And one of the major concepts you have too is creating your pregnancy tribe. I think that is such an important concept, and something that I think a lot of women err on the opposite side of, in the overwhelm, shrinking in and kind of isolating themselves. So can you speak to our listeners about that, about what the pregnancy tribe idea is, as well as how to go about doing that?
Yeah, I think one of the most basic human needs is the need for connection. And we live in a really connected world with the internet and the technology, but yet it's not that human to human connection. And during pregnancy and as being a new mom, I feel like it's a really important time to be connected, to be able to talk with people and to know you're not alone, to know that what you're dealing with isn't something strange or weird, that other people have felt this too, or they've gone through this too. And, just surrounding yourself with people that uplift you and support you. There's certain people in our lives that might, they might have nothing but negative things to say, or they're telling you their horror birth story, and and there's certain things that are not supportive. And so surrounding yourself by people that are going to support you and lift you up. And also within that is maybe finding a prenatal yoga class, or I've been seeing these popping up more and more, these pregnancy circles, or pregnant new or moms to be meetups, where it's a sacred time for women that are pregnant to come together and sit with someone to talk about all things pregnancy or all things motherhood. And I think it's just one of the key components of being supported and feeling our best during this unique time in our lives.
That's such a great idea. We here at the CAP Wellness Center, we have it's a breastfeeding support group, but it's obviously postpartum with the babies, and it's 20 moms getting together every week, learning about breastfeeding issues and the like. And then we just started a families group where it's for new parents to get together and kind of group support each other. But the moms to be group, that sounds like just such a wonderful offering.
I just started offering it 30. So I teach prenatal yoga on Thursday evenings, and I just started offering it 30 minutes prior to the yoga class, because I figure they're all coming for the yoga class. If they'd like to come, 30 minutes prior, just to be able to sit around in a supported space and talk with the women. I thought that would be really supportive for them, because usually they come in, take the class, and leave. And really, there's very few times along the pregnancy journey where you can have like 20 pregnant women in the room all at one time.
Right. And for the woman to be able to have taken that time aside for her yoga practice and a de-stress, but then also getting that nurturing support from her peers, what a special experience.
Yeah, and kind of develop those relationships and that community.
Right. And that's, something that in the overwhelm of like pregnancy, or what can be overwhelming, I don't want to say it always is, but in that overwhelmed space, having other people that are going through the same experience for either to support or even just for a person to say, oh, okay, gosh, at least I'm not the only one. I think that's something we hear from parents all the time once they're asking questions and then saying, oh yeah, that's totally normal. That's happened a bunch of times. It'll work through in this way. There's a de-stressing just having that knowledge of they're not alone, it's not unusual, and there are solutions, and it is going to change. Yeah,
exactly.
Now, do you, in that group space, are you, say, like facilitating that? Is it like a lecture, or is it more of just what's up for everyone today and how can we all support each other?
Yeah, it's more of just facilitating. It's really just the time for the women to really connect with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know that postpartum-wise, we're trying as much as possible for women to, have their tribe, whether it's like people coming by just to bring them meals or, just come over and do some laundry to take an edge off, or just create some times to like, let's go for a walk, let's have some tea, those kind of things. But during pregnancy, it can be a very transformative time, and knowing the path is you can be supported on that will make it that much easier. And then also, as your concept is that's care for the baby as well, that mom's being nurtured. So that means that mom's then nurturing the baby in that space.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find the transition of pregnancy into that postpartum, like what do you find are the biggest challenges the women you work with that they face, and then how do you work with them to overcome them?
I think two of the biggest challenges that I see or hear most often is that they feel alone. Mm-hmm. So they have the baby, they're on maternity leave and they're just at their house, and maybe it's challenging for them to get out. But sometimes they feel lonely. So I think having a postpartum meetup or group, or even a postpartum yoga class, which I know, they're not that easy to find, but just having even a play date or something where you can get out and meet up with other new moms, or, I know I have a home office, but I also work at our local coffee shop quite often. And I love seeing, the new moms. There'll be two moms come in with their brand new little babies, and they just met, meeting up to have some tea or coffee and just chat with each other while they're breastfeeding their baby or while their baby is sleeping there. And I think that is so special. That's that's a really important time just to be able to connect with other moms and get out. So I think that's one of the biggest things is really connecting and making sure that you're not isolating yourself afterward.
Right. Especially for a new mom, like getting to coffee and getting out of the house and the like could be very empowering, and just feeling like, oh my gosh, I made it. It might have taken them, 3 times as long as they thought they were going to. And that's totally normal. It's amazing how it can be slowing down, but just being out of the house, parents can feel just such a relief of, okay, I did it. And then the next time is going to be that much easier. And then that isolation can come down.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I still remember leaving the house for the very first time with my brand new baby, and I was so overwhelmed. And then, once you do it, you're like, oh, okay, I can do this. And then you do it again and everything. It's just like with everything, the first time's always a little bit, uncertain, and then it just becomes natural and you just start to do it more easily. But just even taking the baby out in the baby carrier or in the stroller and walking around the neighborhood, or driving to the park and walking around the park just to get out of the house, I think is really huge.
Yeah. And so many times I hear parents, and I was there myself, where, today I'm getting out of the house, we're going to do something. And then it just seems easier to stay in. Right. And then at the end of the day, like, oh man, I should have gotten out of the house. So having those little things makes a huge difference. And as you said, the series of firsts. I remember the first time I drove in the car by myself with Nico, like I was so stressed out. Like, what if he starts crying and nobody's there in the back seat? And be like, well, if he starts crying, then you stop the car, or whatever. And it turned out to be fine. But then all of a sudden you get the groove, and there's that mark of, all right, I got this. Let's do more and let's explore more. But having, sometimes it's an outside group or an outside meeting or a coffee date or whatever it might be to start that, rather than doing on your own, can get you out of the house and get that ball rolling.
Yeah, I even found that, like date nights with your partner, my husband and I used to go out to dinner once a week. And I thought, oh, we're going to go out with a little baby. Well, now in hindsight, I'm like, that was the best time to go out because they sleep all the time.
Right.
So you just put them in the little car seat, shove it down the bed, like in the bench. They're sleeping. You get to eat. It's not until they get 6 months old that they're like up and moving, and it's really hard to eat out then. But yeah, it's a good time to just go out and have date nights.
Right. So it's that that in the transition, that feeling alone is the major thing, and then.
And then the other thing is self-care, and how do you incorporate self-care when you're all, focused on baby care? And I think that is another really important part, not only for the health of the mother, but for the health of the baby, the health of the family. And one of the things is prevention. If you start incorporating some self-care into your lifestyle as a pregnant mom, then that just becomes part of what you do. It's a habit. And so maybe then you can easily transition that into your lifestyle as a new mom. But even if that's not the case, it is essential to have self-care as a new mom, whether it's just having 5 minutes where you get to go, have your partner or a friend or someone hold your baby while you just go into your bedroom and lay down. It could be the most simple thing, but really honoring your needs, because the more we honor our needs as new moms, the more we have to give. I know even for myself, my girls are 3 and 5 now, and I know that if I don't practice yoga, that's like kind of my big self-care means of having, feeling good and taking care of myself, is going to a yoga class. And I know that if some time has passed that I haven't done yoga, my husband will ask me, have you been to yoga lately? Because if I'm not doing that, I'm a little bit more irritable. I can get agitated more easily. I'm just not the best mom and wife that I can be when I haven't been practicing my self-care. So, making that a priority, no matter how little or small it is in the very beginning, really honoring some time for yourself.
That's amazing. Well, in our closing minutes now, Kristy, tell people how they can get in touch with you and get your book and learn more about your programs.
So my website is purenurture.com. And then if you go on Amazon and just search for Pure Nurture book, it'll pop up. It's in Kindle and paperback. And so, I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram is pure_nurture and Facebook is Pure Nurture LLC.
Okay.
So
I'll make sure all those links are available for the in the show notes, as well as for the listeners if they're listening on our website as well.
Great.
Good. And the last couple questions I have for you. One is for the moms listening. What's the major take-home message you'd like a woman to hear from what we talked about today?
I think it would be to listen to your body, to learn to trust yourself. Because as we talked about, there's just so much information out there. So listen, learn, educate yourself, empower yourself, but only take in and keep what feels best for you and what feels best for your baby, and just leave the rest. Because the more often that you listen to your intuition, your mama bear wisdom, the stronger that muscle, so to speak, will become. And the more empowered and confident you can feel as a woman and as a mom.
Beautiful. And what message do you have for the little babies that might be listening, either in utero through mama's belly, or maybe either on mama's chest right now? Like what message would you like to whisper to them?
When I was pregnant, I would whisper this to my girls when I was pregnant. So it's that I would say, you are loved, you are healthy, and you are strong. Because I really believe in positive affirmations and the power that words can have and that intention can have. And I still do that with my girls today. I'll just come up to them and come right up next to them and say, you are loved, you are wanted, you are strong, and just whisper those positive words of affirmation to them.
Oh, that's wonderful. Great advice. Well, Kristy, thank you so much for your time today. The book is Pure Nurture. Again, it's available in Amazon. The links will be there. And Kristy, I just appreciate the work that you do and for sharing that with our listeners today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today. For more information about this episode and other natural childbirth and parenting topics, please visit us at capwellnesscenter.com or message us on our Facebook page with any questions you might have. We here at the Cap Wellness Center look forward to helping you and your family be as happy and healthy as you can be.